So E3 2015 actually started a little bit early this year. The manufacturers of the VR device Oculus actually had a keynote or a conference, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, the Thursday before E3 week actually started on June 11th. And I didn't really pay much attention to it, but I heard over the weekend like some people watched it and there were some funny things. So I figured I'll just, throw it into everything else and talk a little bit about it, although there's not that much to talk about. Brendan Iribe, the CEO, came out. He showed off the final design of the Oculus, threw around, your regular corporate buzzwords, talking about how it's revolutionary and how it's going to change the world and how it's going to, wake up and, ride your bones in the morning and give you a blowjob and cook you chocolate chip pancakes afterwards. And, the same thing with every new flashy hardware device that comes out. But, it's really too early to tell, in my opinion, whether this is going to be a thing or not. Because we know how well, I remember companies like Sony and other TV manufacturers making a big stink about 3D TVs, and that has already pretty much died out. So we'll see. But yeah, the Oculus conference, as far as the Oculus Rift goes, they gave a Q1 2016 release date right out of the gate. It comes with two OLED screens, a small sensor that plugs into the back of your PC or console, like an elegant antenna. Like if you have a dish receiver like we have with Dish Network, there's that little silver antenna on some of the DVRs that sticks out just a little bit in the back to pick up the remote's commands. So it's kind of like that. That's how it communicates with all the equipment with it. Headphones with 360-degree surround sound that are also detachable. There's headphones along with the visor. Adjustable lens distance, depending on how far apart your eyes are for some reason. Also made to accommodate glasses. That's cool. Going on like there's a quote here, goes on like a baseball cap and disappears after it's on. So that's how comfortable they're claiming this device is going to be. You're going to put this thing on and you're going to be so immersed in the experience you're not even going to know you're wearing anything. That's the promise they're making. We'll see. The Rift will include a wireless Xbox One controller and adapter as well. And this is where Phil Spencer came out and confirmed a partnership with Microsoft. This was interesting. At Microsoft, we're incredibly focused on making Windows a great operating system for gamers. That's a quote from Phil. We've heard this before because we know how well Games for Windows Live did, right? I think games that are still making the transition from Games for Windows Live to Steam, a platform where people actually play fucking computer games on it, they're gutting out all the Games for Windows Live shit and putting in like Steamworks so the games will actually work again. I think that transition is still going on with a couple games. I'm not sure because I haven't been keeping up that much with PC games. So, but yeah, we've heard this before. I'll believe it when I see it. Every fucking Windows that came out is supposed to be for games. And 95% of PC games out there are run on Windows operating systems. Mac and Linux is making a bigger, getting a bigger piece of the pie in the market, which is good, but it's always been predominantly Windows if you're going to play computer games. So, it just sounds like marketing bullshit to me. Native support with Windows 10, streaming Xbox One games to Oculus Rift, that's going to be a thing. And then there was this, the video, which was probably my highlight of the conference, well, one of them anyway, where it cuts to a video where there's two screens. There's a woman with an Oculus Rift sitting on a couch in a virtual living room playing Forza on a virtual TV screen. And then on the other, I take it back. The two screens, there's one showing the woman wearing the Oculus Rift device, and she's looking around the room, and on the other screen is what she actually sees. And she's looking around in this virtual living room where she's sitting far away from this virtual flat screen TV on the virtual wall in the virtual living room. I don't know why the fuck you would need to be in an actual other room, but I'm sure this is just like an alpha kind of video or some shit. I don't know. But it was funny because she looks around. You see the room moving around on the left while the screen stays static against the wall. She drives down the straightaway, rear ends a car, and then she drives off and the video ends. That's it. It's just an abrupt cut back to the stage. And right after this video's done, you can hear a pin drop in this place because people were like, what the fuck is going on? And I wrote here, after the video ends, complete silence with a few chuckles in the back. Phil says, did she crash? Is that why people laughed? No, Phil. That's not why people laughed. The few people that chuckled in the back of the audience, it was like that nervous laughter where, you know, you're in a situation you really don't want to be in. You just kind of have to laugh at it to calm your nerves a little bit. You're like, not exactly the best response for, you know, the first demo we've seen of Microsoft and Oculus VR kind of demonstration. And then it's cute how Phil kind of like tied it up, because I don't know if he knew it was a fuck up or what, but he's like, oh yeah, Windows 10, Oculus Rift, we're so glad to have this partnership. Back to you, CEO guy. And then Brendan comes back out on stage and introduces another guy named Jason Rubin from Oculus Studios, and this is where the games reel was shown. Really, the only thing that materialized out of here for me was Eve Valkyrie, which obviously comes from the makers of Eve Online CCP games. There's a quote here: "The closest you will ever get to being a spaceship fighter pilot." And then pre-alpha footage is shown. For pre-alpha footage, this looks pretty fucking good. This is probably the most promising thing I've seen out of the whole conference, if you can call it that. It looks pretty cool. Looks like a modern like space sim kind of game, but you know, it's in a VR environment, which it's its big stick. So you know, we'll see what happens with it. Look kind of cool. Then they showed a game called Chronos. It's labyrinth exploration, looks generic. Is it first person? Is it third person? Who knows? Then they show Edge of Nowhere by Insomniac Games. The Ratchet and Clank guys, Sunset Overdrive. Looks the same but outside in the Arctic. And I put here, wow, Chronos 2 is coming out already. Probably the fastest sequel reveal ever made. This game they look exactly the same. Chronos is inside a labyrinth where you're exploring shit. Edge of Nowhere is outside in the Arctic, and you're, wait for it, exploring shit. They look exactly the same. I mean, I know these are very, very early builds, but I mean, you gotta, if you're gonna show something that gets people excited for the software and the device. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at? Back to Jason, more game demos at E3 that were just mentioned. No footage was shown, but he said, there's going to be Damaged Core, which is an FPS by High Voltage Studios. There's Lucky's Tale, a third-person platformer, I guess it looks like. No, I take that back. It was like a small montage of gameplay with these games that were shown, and I think a few of them only had logos shown. I don't know. It really doesn't matter anyway. If you didn't watch this, you didn't miss much. Damaged Core, it's a first-person shooter by High Voltage Studios. Lucky's Tale, a third-person platformer. VR Sports Challenge, which is exactly what it says. It's your bundled sports game title. Esper by Telekinetic. And Airmech VR. Is it an RTS or real life? Yeah, none of these really looked appealing. Like I said, Eve Valkyrie's the only one that caught my eye, so we'll see what happens with that. Partial list of dev support is shown from 16 companies, including 4A Games, the makers of the Metro games, Metro Last Light, Metro 2033, Ready at Dawn, who made The Order 1886, and Square Enix. That's kind of interesting. So out of those 16 companies, those are really the only three, you know, AAA mega blockbuster type guys. The other guys were either mentioned or I have no fucking idea who they are. Anna Sweet comes out, the head of developer strategy, basically just says Unity and Unreal Engine supports a thing. They're investing $10 million into accelerated independent game development. You know, so it's cool they're trying to bring other companies or indie developers or whatever on board to develop software for this device. That's kind of cool. So there's at least some bed of support there for it. Because I've said it once, and I'll say it again, you know, I don't care what your console looks like, what can I play on it? You know, the software sells the hardware. That's all there is to it. Nate Mitchell, Vice President of Product, comes out and he introduces Oculus Home software, the operating system that's actually going to function with the actual VR device. It just looks like a cross between the Xbox 360 Metro dashboard and the Steam store. It's kind of like this weird hybrid between those two. Then finally, as far as Oculus goes, Palmer Luckey, the founder of Oculus, comes out to show off his bizarre taste in clothing. Now, I don't mean to go all queer-eyed for the straight guy in my fucking E3 video of all places, but this fucking guy, like, it looks like he tripped and fell into his closet and just walked right out the door. This motherfucker comes out with a logo t-shirt on, a suit jacket, jeans, and flip-flops. Now, like I said, I'm no big-time, fashion guy or anything like that, but man, like, what's going on with that? I don't know if he was trying to be like, so like, whoa, I'm so wacky with my clothing, that it's so over the top that it's actually acceptable, like one of those weird things. I don't know. But anyway, he introduces the Oculus Touch. So it's not enough that they have the Xbox One controller on board with their system. They had to develop a controller themselves. And the Oculus Touch is interesting. It's actually like two little rings you hold in your hands. Like, picture a DualShock controller, cut it in half, and make like triggers and make like hooks like around like a half circle sort of thing, and put triggers under it, and it's like that. So he did this whole demonstration with the Oculus Touches. You're gonna wear this visor, and you're gonna have these things on, and remember, you're not gonna know you're doing any of this. That's how transparent this equipment is. You're going to be walking around, like, say you're playing a shooter, you're going to use like the trigger underneath to like pick up a clip off of the ground and reload your gun, and you're just going to fire a gun by using one of the buttons, and it's like you're really doing the movements. So it looks like this half-assed demonstration between motion controls and actual controllers, which is kind of weird. I don't know. It's hard to make sense out of any of this until it becomes more mainstream, it becomes more adopted, it goes through its growing pains, and we actually, get this device into like more casual type people to see how it actually works and see how it pans out. So, with the Oculus Touch, the prototype codenamed is Half Moon, which fits the description of what the controller was. It has an analog stick, two face buttons, a trigger button, and an inside trigger, the trigger I was talking about. So picture holding two of those. Sensors recognize hand poses such as pointing and thumbs up. A demo called Toy Box is being used as a sandbox to experiment with different environments. Toy Box was apparently playable to try out at E3 at the Oculus booth. And that's it for Oculus pretty much. And like I said, I didn't have no expectations for any of E3, let alone this conference. My whole thing with VR is, it's not a unique perspective by any means. It seems cool, it looks cool. We're going to have to see it go through, we're going to have to see it evolve into a more finalized product that people can use. And, we'll see what happens with it, like maybe 2 or 3 years from now. Let's see if it's still around. Let's see if people still believe in it or still developing for it, or is it going to be the next Virtual Boy? We don't know. So that brings us to Bethesda on Sunday, June 14th. And I watched this live at work Sunday night because I was stuck at work. I suck like that. But seriously, it was a pretty decent conference. Like, they only announced 4 fucking games the entire conference, but still. One thing I can say about Bethesda, it's so nice to see Adam and Morgan together again to, get those nostalgia feelings about X-Play, and even when it was just Adam and extended play. I think I've talked about a little bit in length about Tech TV, how much I miss Tech TV. It was almost like a Tech TV reunion going on at this E3 conference. Like you have Adam Sessler, Morgan Webb hosting the Bethesda conference and doing the little post show for the Bethesda conference. You had Kevin Pereira hosting the Nintendo World Championships that occurred this year. Like, was Leo Laporte and Patrick Norton, waiting backstage to do, tech support for the electronic equipment? Like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, it was good to see them again. So in the actual conference itself, Pete Hines, the vice president for Bethesda, comes out, who introduces Marty Stratton. Marty Stratton is the executive producer of id Software, so you already know where this is going. Doom is on the horizon. Talks about how he's been working with the id Software catalog for a long time, how his team drew inspiration from all the early Doom games, all the classic id Software games, blah blah blah. So far so good. He summed up Doom well with 3 things. Kick-ass demons, big fucking guns, and really fast movement. Great. That's pretty much what Doom is, right? So far, so good. Okay, so let's see the new game. Then the gameplay starts. Yeah. The first time I saw this gameplay, I was pretty uninspired, to say the least. No. That's not going to do it. I was livid when they first showed this. I put here in my notes, Halo HUD? Oh no. Slow movement? Oh no. Double jumps? Oh no. Radio weapon menus and up-close fatalities? What the fuck am I looking at? I'm looking at this, I'm watching this whole thing in disbelief. I'm like, why is the new Doom, why does it look like a fucking Halo 4 mod for Doom 3? You couldn't make a new Doom that looks better than Doom 3? If that's the case, you're in big fucking trouble. It's not Doom. When I was 13 years old, 12, 13, whatever, I got my first computer. It had Windows 3.1. The very first CD-ROM I ever got was called the Doom Companion Edition. And what it was the shareware version of Doom, and it had a whole bunch of like map tools on it, had a whole bunch of like extra goodies and stuff like that. I played the shit out of the shareware version of Doom. When I first played that is the game that got me into computer games, was Doom. Playing that when you were 12 years old, like when it was brand new, it fucking blew you away. Like there was nothing like that game when it came out. It was literally revolutionary. And I know people love to throw that term around a lot, but Doom was revolutionary. There was nothing like it. And yeah, I played Doom, loved the hell out of it. I played that shareware episode back to front, side to side. I knew every secret in Knee Deep in the Dead, all of it. I still remember most of them, even though I haven't played Doom for a while. But fast forward a year or two, I got the Ultimate Doom for my birthday from my brother. This was when you had to mail order games. So I got it in the mail. I got the black box with the shiny front on it. He said, I still remember it saying, with an all-new 4th episode, Thy Flesh Consumed. I had that box and the manual and everything for the longest time until I was forced to sell off, my large video game collection I amassed like almost, 10 years ago or something. But anyway, back to the point. Love the Ultimate Doom. I eventually got Doom 2. I eventually got Final Doom. But that's Doom to me. I want to play Doom where you're firing a rocket and you're running past your fucking rocket that you just fired. That's how fast you're moving if you're holding down the shift key and you're actually running. I want great level design. I want enemies that you can actually tell the enemies apart. I don't know what the fuck was what in this trailer. Yeah, it had a chainsaw, but it wasn't like over the top violent like this is. Like there was no real fatalities or anything. Like yeah, Doom was really violent back in 1992 when it came out, or 93. It was one of those. I think it was 93. But the point I'm trying to get at is that's Doom, and I grew up with Doom, And Doom is probably, arguably the most important computer game to me of all time. So I have all this passion, I have all this experience with Doom, and then I see this, and it's just like my heart just drops to the floor. I'm like, you're gonna pass this off as Doom. No. No, you're not. No. I tried to give it a chance. I just couldn't. My mind just kept going back to how Doom used to be. That's Doom. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. Sucks. And I put, even gameplay with the chainsaw couldn't save this mess. Looks like Marty missed at least 2 other things that made Doom great. John Carmack and John Romero. I wish the old team would get back together and, make like a one-off game like this. John Romero, John Carmack, Adrian Carmack, Tom Hall, everyone else involved in the making of Doom. Then I watched it a second time via the Giant Bomb stream, where the Giant Bomb guys watched it and reacted to it and everything, because I had to have some humor if I was going to go back and watch this. And the second time I watched it, it has potential. That's the absolute best comment you're going to get out of me from this. I'm cynical because I care, okay? I know I'm being cynical when I talk about this, but you have to understand, you have to be 12 years old in the early 90s and growing up with all these games and playing them when they were brand new, and you've never played anything else before this, so all of this is brand new. When Doom was brand new, it was the shit, okay? I didn't even touch my consoles for months when I knew games like Doom could be played on the computer. And then, of course, Doom got a console port to, like, Super Nintendo and shit. All the console ports fucking suck. If you're gonna play Doom, play it on the PC. Trust me. But yeah, Jeff Gertzman brought up a good point. He said, no bitchin' guitar riffs or no good music at all, really. I want to see, even if I hear Pantera music again in MIDI form, like, it just added to the charm of Doom. And I already talked about how all the fucking enemies look the same, which I think they're aware of that, and they're going to try and fix that a little bit. They already announced a release date, I'll skip ahead a little bit here, of spring 2016 for current-gen platforms, and when I say current-gen platforms, that's Xbox One, PS4, PC. So I don't know how much more they're going to change on it, or if they're going to push the date back at all, I don't know. But yeah, the weapons sound generic, the enemies look generic, but the biggest thing they have to do, and I wrote here, this is a deal breaker, they need to make it faster. I don't know if it actually is a little more fast-paced than it looks, because the guy who was playing it in the gameplay demo that was shown was kind of moving a little bit slow. I also noticed that the second time. But they need to make it faster. I'm talking, okay, I would like to see 90s deathmatch fast, but maybe if you stopped at, like, I don't know. It needs to be faster than what was shown, okay? Like, I was going to throw out, like, a percentage, like, okay, make it 75% deathmatch speed, you know what I mean? But the point I'm trying to make is you need to make this faster. Don't make this like Doom. Or, don't make this like Doom. Make it like Doom, don't make it like Halo, is what I'm trying to say, okay? If I want to play Halo, I'll play Halo. When I play Doom, when I sit down, I want fast, frantic, violent, tense, dark, adrenaline pumping gameplay. That's Doom. So yeah, the best thing I can say about the weapons in Doom that was shown is they have the double-barreled shotgun from Doom 2, like the exact animation from Doom 2, or the super shotgun, whatever you want to call it. I always call it the double-barreled shotgun because that's what it is. It shows the same sound effects, the same animation. That was pretty cool. The plasma rifle, on the other hand, is fucking garbage. Change the plasma rifle. When I first saw the plasma rifle, when I got the full version of Doom, because the plasma rifle and the BFG weren't in the shareware version of Doom, Those are the two new weapons in the full version. When I first saw the plasma rifle, I fucking shit my pants. Like, that thing was awesome. Like, it was loud. You saw the big electric pulses going out from the gun. This sounds like a fucking... It sounds like a super soaker that was somehow shooting out electrical water or something. I don't know. But, I mean, that's the threat it posed when I saw it being used. Like, what is this, a water gun? Like, get the fuck out of here with this shit. You're fighting these gigantic mythical demons from hell, and you're giving me this little pissant gun? Change the plasma rifle. Change the player speed. Make the enemies more varied. You guys still got a lot of work to do if you want to sell this off as a Doom game. And that's really all I have to say about it. They showed a co-op reel, surviving waves of demons. I'm like, oh great, they actually put a Call of Duty zombies-like mode in this. Because, you know, you can't sell a shooter nowadays unless it's something like Call of Duty. Like, some element of Call of Duty has to be in there. Break. Then they showed a multiplayer reel, fast-paced arena-style combat. That's a quote from Marty. I don't fucking see it. Talks about level sharing, where you're able to make shittier custom levels than WoD's released 20 years ago. Wow, level sharing in Doom? That's revolutionary. You know, it wasn't known for that. It's not like people still play Doom and they pass around custom levels even more now than they ever did before. Like, I'm glad to see it in Doom, like a more modernized version of it, but, you know, it's just not going to be the same as the original Doom, so. Let's see here. Yeah, hopefully they don't charge extra for the extra levels, because the WoDs for Doom, like, I remember, another thing I remember from back in the day is I remember going to computer shows, and I remember buying custom levels for Doom. I remember Simpsons Doom, that was a popular one. I remember buying this book, this thick book, it was like this big, from Cybex, called The Lost Episodes of Doom. It came with a floppy disk, what do you call it, a 1.44 floppy disk? Oh, god damn. I don't even remember what they called it anymore. There's 5 1/4 and I think 3 1/2, whatever. It was a little floppy diskette, and it had custom levels for Doom. It replaced like all 3 of the original episodes with brand new episodes where you were on like Jupiter instead of Mars or something like that. But that was pretty cool. So it's cool that they're acknowledging that, and custom levels are going to be a thing again. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Doom, which was, as you can probably tell, the one thing I was really focused on in this conference. Not a huge Fallout fan, but I'll get to Fallout. Another thing I can say about Doom is that I know Anita Sarkeesian and other idiots on Twitter were like, they were trying to make a big stink about how violent this game was, and people like, oh my god, people are glorifying all this violence in Doom. Doom is so violent. It's Doom! Like what the fuck did you expect? Did you expect unicorns frolicking through the grassy meadows eating gumdrops with fucking rainbows in the background? No, it's Doom. You're a space marine and you're fighting demons from hell and you're trying to survive. That's Doom, okay? People are just being idiots. They're just being attention whores by saying this stuff like, oh, Doom is violent? Oh, man. Don't fucking tell these people that in Grand Theft Auto you steal cars next to their fading couch. Like, give me a break. Go fuck yourself. So, next they showed Battle Cry. It's an online action team-based game. Looks like a shittier version of Team Fortress 2. Looks like another MOBA-type game. I don't care about MOBAs. If you want to get me so uninterested in a game right from the get-go, just call it a MOBA or an MMO. I don't care about either one of them. They're not my cup of tea. But if it is your cup of tea, worldwide beta signups are available at the time of the announcement, and that'll come later this year. Dishonored 2 is shown. That looks cool. I was telling my coworker from work that I was watching this with that I never played the first Dishonored and I always wanted to. They must have heard me, because right after they showed Dishonored, Dishonored Definitive Edition is going to be released at the end of next month. So August 25th, I think, when that comes out. That'll come out for current gen platforms. The big differences I noticed with Dishonored 2 is that it'll have the choice of 2 characters and have more gadgets in it. So it's a sequel, duh. Elder Scrolls Online, a trailer was shown of upcoming content. Elder Scrolls Legend was Elder Scrolls Legends, can't even talk anymore, was announced as a free-to-play strategy card game. Will be on PC and iPad later this year for the 3 of you that give a shit. Then finally, to close out the conference, everyone was waiting for Fallout 4. Fallout 4 looks cool. I mean, it looks great. I never got into Fallout. I don't know why. I always liked those turn-based RPGs back on the computer. Like Baldur's Gate is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. I just never got into Fallout for some reason. I don't know why. I just never came across it. So hopefully I'll go back and I'll get into Fallout and see what all the hubbub is about. But from what I'm seeing here, it looks cool. Todd Howard came out, showed off the gameplay. Starts off with before the inevitable bomb gets dropped, and eventually goes into 200 years after that fact. It started out where there's this mother and father with this baby, and the bomb is going to go off. They're all heading to the shelter, and it clearly shows your parents on top of the shelter waiting to get in, and the bomb drops, and the fucking mushroom cloud appears like 15 feet from them. So apparently somehow you survived that. I don't know how. So, you know, somehow you got dropped into the shelter and survived, and, you know, 200 years of inbreeding. Like, hey, your family's still here. I don't know. But female characters are an option. Dialogue choices look more like Mass Effect than Fallout. The VAT system is back, along with the ability to build your own shelters, customize weapons, with over 700 items, and customized power armor as well. A special edition was announced with a first edition Pip voice system. You can put your iPhone or Android into to check your character's upgrades, as well as a companion. You can check your character's upgrades, as well as a companion iOS Android game that was announced called Fallout Shelter. That launched at the end of the conference. Fallout Shelter went on to become like one of the most downloaded phone games worldwide, you know what I mean? So I wish I got to try it, but unfortunately I'm a pleb with a Windows phone, so we don't get those privileges, but I don't care. I love my Windows phone. Another thing, I think it was announced post-conference or whatever, if you're going to get that Pip-Boy companion to put your phone in, I don't think it supports large phones, so if you have the larger iPhone 6 or a larger, like a Note 4 type phone, Android device, you might want to double check and see if it takes that, because it probably won't. As far as Fallout Shelter goes, it has no time paywall, which is legitimately shocking news in 2015. But it will have microtransactions to earn lunch boxes, which help you expand your shelter and its inhabitants. So from what I'm seeing, it's going to be, you know, optional shortcut type DLC, which, you know, I don't care about that. People like those, fine. As long as it's optional, I don't care. Release date, November 10th. That was shocking. I thought they pushed this back to next year. Proved me wrong. Conference attendees get to leave with cool-looking vinyl figurines to celebrate their first conference. So you're going to get a cool figurine either from Doom, Dishonored, or Fallout. I think they got all 3 actually, but the vinyl figurines look cool. And that was Bethesda. I'll pick up Dishonored Definitive Edition sometime. I'll get into Fallout sometime in the future, no guarantee. I couldn't give less of a shit about Elder Scrolls Online or Elder Scrolls Legends, and please, please, for the love of God, fix Doom. Please. You can do it. You have the time. You have the resources. Fix it. You want to make Doom? Make a Doom game. So now we go on to Microsoft. 2015. The greatest games lineup in history. Alright, fuckers, bring it on. Opens with Bonnie Ross from 343 Industries and introducing Halo 5 gameplay trailer. Yeah, Halo. You knew it was coming, but at least I said, well, it's an improvement over opening with Call of fucking Duty like they did last year. Halo 5 Guardians comes out October 27th. Josh Holmes, also from 343, came out. Introduced Warzone, which is a twist on the multiplayer. It's going to be a mode where it's going to be team versus team, but there's also going to be a horde of enemies that both teams have to fight off, or they have to trick into like attacking the one team and staying away from their other team. So it's kind of like a player versus environment kind of thing. I thought that was a cool twist. I'd like to see more shooters do that. Recore this was a surprise, was announced from Kenji Inafune and the makers of Metroid Prime. It was a CGI trailer. We didn't get to see any gameplay, but this is an Xbox One exclusive that's coming out. Comes out in spring 2016. It looks interesting. But I asked, yeah, like, what is it and how does it play? If you're showing me CGI, you're not really showing me anything. In a post-conference interview video, however, Mark Pacini from Armature Studios, which Kenji Inafune and Concept is partnering with to make this game, they explained that your robot dog companion is part of a faction that is trying to help you bring back humanity on the planet you're on, but there exists another faction of robots on that same planet that don't want that to happen for their own reasons. Yeah, he said sandstorms happen in game that change the environment permanently. It's going to change how you progress through the game. And the game itself is, quote unquote, a very epic story full of mystery and adventure. So it looks cool, you know. We'll see how it materializes and when it comes out. And, you know, I don't think it's something I'm going to jump at day one, but I'm going to hang back and, you know, if it looks good, I'll wait for a sale and buy it, just like I do with any other game. Backwards compatibility this holiday season was the next big announcement. Not being charged for games you already own. Only about 22 games available now, but will be over 100 by the end of the year. So when this was announced, this was big. I was like, wow, when they showed it on the TV screen. But then I'm thinking, like 10 seconds after that, I'm thinking, okay, what's the catch? You know, what are the limitations? You know, because if this was easy to do, they would have done it day one, or they would have done it earlier in the console life cycle. Why now? You know what I mean? So, like, what hurdles did they have to overcome to do this? So, a short video appeared later with Bill Stillwell, which is one of the engineers on the Xbox team, and Larry Herb, Major Nelson. They were explaining more in depth about how this works. How this is going to work, according to them, from what I understand, is it's going to be an Xbox 360 emulator that's within that works as an Xbox One app. So it's going to be, everything is going to be in a self-contained application, and it's going to run the same way as you would run any other game on Xbox One or any other app on Xbox One, like YouTube, Twitch, Internet Explorer, whatever. So as you're playing a game within the emulator, since it's an Xbox One app, it's going to have the functionality of those Xbox One apps. You're going to be able to save screenshots, say Xbox record that, stuff like that. And it's still going to work. Also, but from within the app, within the emulator app, you're going to be able to see your friends list. You're going to be able to bring up the old Xbox 360 guide. You're still going to be able to get achievements. You're going to be able to get your saved games from games you've played, but they have to be uploaded to the cloud, to the virtual storage server. If you have games, any games on your Xbox 360, I advise, if you still have it, fire it up and send your save games up to your account so they can be brought down by the emulator app on the Xbox One, so you still have your progress there. Yeah, and I think that's about it. As far as digital and physical games go, digital games will install and unlock as soon as they're deemed compatible to run on the system. Physical games, he said there's going to be a firmware update for the Blu-ray drive inside of the Xbox One that's actually going to install most or all of the game files on the Xbox One hard drive, or any hard drives that are connected to the Xbox One. But you still have to have the disc in it, because that's how the Xbox One recognizes, you know, that gets past the authentication. So you're not just pirating games, you have a disc, you have something in there that shows you have a legitimate copy of the game. Let's see. That's really about it. The priority they're going with compatibility is first-party titles, fan favorites, and games that still have a large player base. And I actually went through this the other day, the list of Xbox 360 games. Like, all the games that I would still like to play multiplayer on, that, you know, they're very high contenders for getting backwards compatibility on the system, which is cool. Like, I never played the first Dark Souls. I'd like to play that. Dark Souls 2 is on the Xbox One now, so that's cool. You know, like a few other ones, like Red Dead Redemption. It'd be nice to see that. I never played that. You know, like, of course, like all the first-party titles that were on Xbox 360, I'm sure they're going to make their way to Xbox One somehow via this backward compatibility. So that's really going to be pushed full force this holiday season. There's going to be, like I said, what did I say, easily over 100 games by the end of the year. It's available only to preview members right now, so they're still kind of ironing out the kinks for it, which is good. They showed a Mass Effect being played on stage to prove that it's actually a thing. In the video with Bill and Major Nelson, they showed Borderlands being played, like no hitches, no errors, nothing. So cool. You know, it's nice to see they're continuing to listen to their fans, and this is a big feature that people have been asking for. So really, I mean, unless you play something really, really obtuse that somehow people still play online a lot, as far as the Xbox 360 goes, I mean, you could safely start thinking about disconnecting it right now. The Elite controller announcement. Wow. So they're going to make this Pro controller. It has rear paddle switches for like racing games and stuff like that. It's going to have trigger locks where the triggers act as a button to, I guess, help you shoot easier in shooters and stuff like that. Diamond-studded grips and a precision D-pad. Looks more like a bowl than an actual D-pad, but they claim it's going to be more precise. I don't know. It's hard to say if you actually don't have the controller in your hands, at least for me. Strong magnetic swappable components and the ability to make separate mapped button profiles for different games is a thing. I guess they're going after the market of people who send in their controllers to have them customized or repaired or, you know, whatever, like that demographic. Looks pretty cool till I found out what the price was. Yeah. I'm fine with my normal controller, thank you very much. I love you, Microsoft. I love the Xbox, love it, but I am not paying $150 for a gamepad. It's not going to happen. If I'm paying over $100 for a controller, it's either going to be a very high quality arcade stick, or B, the Steel Battalion controller from the original Xbox when I eventually get Steel Battalion. That's it. Any other controller, it's not even worth near $100. I'm sorry, it's not. I don't care what color it is, I don't care what system it's for, it ain't worth it. So yeah, unless this thing goes on like a major sale and I want to get it as a novelty, this controller can fuck right off. I love Xbox, but not that much. Todd Howard comes out again like, hey guys, remember Fallout 4? You saw it yesterday, here it is again. He shows off more exclusive gameplay of Fallout 4. Xbox exclusive. I missed this the first time I saw the conference. I went back and watched these conferences at least twice to get all these little tidbits. Fallout 3 is included with all Xbox copies of Fallout 4. That's probably due to the backward compatibility they just announced, but hey, nice, you know, free games are always good. Fallout mods for the PC. Fallout mods on the PC will be able to be played and shared for free on Xbox One. That's kind of cool. Hey, buddy. So that's neat. Peter Moore came out talking about EA Access. He made the big bombshell announcement that Titanfall is now part of EA Access. Okay. If you gave a shit about Titanfall at all, you already bought it. So, I mean, that's not a really big deal, but if it boosts the population of Titanfall a little bit, that's fine. Not that it needs it. I was playing Titanfall the other day. There's still plenty of people playing it, so that's okay. And yes, that is a cat. Yeah, Titanfall now for EA Access. Dragon Age Inquisition is going to be added to EA Access later this summer. And he also made an announcement that for the week of E3, EA Access was free. So if you wanted to try it out, if you're a gold member and you wanted to try out EA Access for a week, they opened the vault to you. So didn't really matter much to me. All the EA games I am interested in, I got pretty much all of them. I'm not really into sports games that much, so it doesn't really appeal to me, but it very much might appeal to you. I mean, a lot of people say it's a good deal, so if that's your thing, go for it. I like to have physical copies of games. I don't really like digital copies of games unless I have no choice but to get a digital copy. So, you know, hey, but if that's your thing, go for it. Garden Warfare 2 was shown. We all knew this was coming. New characters and new maps, more of the same from the first game, so what a sequel should be. That'll come out spring 2016. As I said before, Garden Warfare dropped to $20 because we knew the sequel was going to be announced and it was going to come out next year. And Garden Warfare is a lot of fun. I think that's also part of EA Access, so if you want to go that route as well, you could try out Garden Warfare. Surprisingly fun. Forza 6, the spot was shown, starring Henry Ford III and a Ford GT car. Okay. Dan Greenwald was there also. He's the creative director from Turn 10 Studios, who obviously makes Forza. Among Forza 6's features include 26 locations, 1080p and 60 frames per second for you graphic whores out there. Over 450 Forza Vista cars, 24 car multiplayer races, night races, and weather effects. That'll come out September 15th. Dark Souls 3 was shown next. Just a CGI trailer, you know, quit busting my balls with the CGI shit. Miyazaki will be directing it. It actually started development alongside Bloodborne, which is cool, but we won't see this game start materializing until early 2016. Then The Division is shown. The action RPG kind of hybrid game from Ubisoft, the MMO. President of Ubisoft America, Laurent Detat, comes out. I probably just butchered that name, but whatever. Bills the game as an action RPG taking place in New York, first to play it via exclusive beta this December. So the Xbox One, the beta's coming first to there. Rainbow Six Siege is shown next. He rolls right into that. That comes out October 13th this year. Vegas 1 and 2, again, thanks to backward compatibility, come free with it thanks to the backwards compatibility, like I just said. Then a Windows 10 Xbox exclusive is shown called Gigantic. A free-to-play MOBA, blah, 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 not interested. Like I said before, 2 ways to turn me off of a game instantly, describing it as an MMO or a MOBA. Beta's in August if you care, I don't. Moving on, Indie Reel. Cuphead, Rise and Shine from Adult Swim Games. The Mean Green's Plastic Warfare, which kind of reminds me of the old Army Men games. The Flame in the Flood, Phantasmal City of Darkness, The Solus Project, which that's like another survival exploration type game. Westerado, double-barreled, Westerado, I can't talk today. Double-barreled, Sword Coast Legends, Outward, Goat Simulator, More Goats Edition, Game 4 from the Behemoth, I don't know what the hell that is. Below is shown again, Ark Survival Evolved, Recruits, and Super Hot. All those were shown. You know, because clearly there's no indie games to play on the Xbox One, and PS4 is the system for indies, right? Chris Charla, the director of ID at Xbox, which is the big staging ground to bring indie games to the system, he said Fulbright, the makers of Gone Home, show off a new game called Tacoma. Comes out 2016 first on PC and Xbox. It looks like one of those more like exploration games. Another type of game I really don't care for that much is stuff like I'm trying to think. Stuff like Alien Isolation, Amnesia, The Dark Descent. I know there's some other popular ones I'm not thinking of. Five Nights at Freddy's is another one. Like these games with jump scares where you have really no way of defending yourself except you just hide under beds and hide in lockers and shit for like 10 to 15 minutes at a time before the whatever threat you're trying to run away from goes away. I don't really care for that. If I want to play a horror game, I want to play a survival horror game like Resident Evil, Silent Hill, Dino Crisis, stuff like that. Like I actually have a chance to fight back. I'm not a fucking pussy hiding in a gym locker, from this this threat, and all you can do is like run away from it or whatever. It's just I don't see the appeal. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to play those games more, but don't care for it. So Derek Bradley from Aurora 44 comes out and shows off Ashen. It's an Xbox console exclusive. Shows 2 faceless adventures exploring a labyrinth and not much else. Sharita Halato from Tiger and Squid shows off Beyond Eyes. And oh man, you're going to hear about Beyond Eyes a lot throughout this fucking conference. It's pretty cool, admittedly. It tells the story of a blind girl named Ray who leaves her childhood home and must use her other senses to navigate through the world since she's blind. So the draw of the game literally is to use her other senses to navigate through the world, to make out nearby objects and stuff like that. It's a cool concept. Comes out sometime this summer. No official date's still been announced as far as I've seen. Cuphead is shown off. This game looks fucking cool. The precision of a 16-bit platformer with the look of a 1930s cartoon. So if you can imagine, and there's shoot 'em up elements in there too. This game looks awesome. I can't wait for this. But, of course, it's something we really want, so we're going to have to wait until 2016 for it to come out. Fuck. I want to play some Cuphead. Xbox Game Preview is a choice that was announced, where it lets people buy and purchase games while they're still in active development. Steam Greenlight. Sorry. I don't know where that came from. So console Steam Greenlight. All games have free trials. We'll start with 4 titles over the next year: The Long Dark, Sheltered, Elite Dangerous, and the one and only DayZ. The Long Dark and Elite Dangerous, they're available to download immediately and try now if that's your thing. The Long Dark's one of those exploration games I really don't care for, so... but Elite Dangerous, on the other hand, looks like a space shooter, kind of like in the vein of, I don't know, not like Free Space or Wing Commander, but it's more like arcadey rather than simmy, if that makes any experience. If that makes any sense. Oh my god. It's not fun to make a video when you can't talk and make simple words come out of your mouth, but I'm trying. Dean Hall, creator of DayZ, comes out. Man, introduces Ion, first for the Xbox and PC, a sim-like experience in space, CGI trailer of space stuff. What the fuck did I just watch? No release date. I have no idea what this game is. I'm assuming it's another exploration game. Fucking... everything last year was a MOBA. Everything this year is an exploration game. I just want to walk through this amazing game world and do nothing but look at it. Okay? I can play other games where I'm in a beautiful world and I can look at it and it's immersive and I can actually do stuff. I have weapons and there's a threat I can fight back against. You know what I mean? These games just, they scream boring to me. But that's just my first impressions of them. Brian Horton from Crystal Dynamics showed off Rise of the Tomb Raider. We knew this was coming. The gameplay trailer looks fantastic. That comes out November 10th, 2015, so that'll be competing directly with Fallout 4. Then Rare is shown. This made me sit up and pay attention. They showed a gameplay trailer where they were showing all the old Rare games, when Rare used to be good. I'm like, oh my god, here it comes. Are they going to announce a new Battletoads? It's Rare. What the fuck is going on? Because they owe us something from last year where they cock-blocked us, where they showed us fucking Conquer at the end of their fucking Project Spark trailer. I'll never forget that. So, you got some making up to do. You got some, let me pull down my pants here. Let me get my cheek out, because you got some ass to kiss here to some of us Rare fans. Rare Replay is announced, which was my personal highlight of the conference. 30 games for $30, comes out August 4th. 10,000 gamer score, though I don't really care about that, but it's 30 games for $30, sold. I'm buying that day one. Fantastic. It has games like, you have to look up the whole list, but Solar Jetman's on there. Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie are on there. Motherfucking Jet Force Gemini is on there. Battletoads. Battletoads, the arcade version, which I don't think ever got a home port ever. So this is the first time for that on a console. What else? Perfect Dark. Conker's Bad Fur Day. You know, like most of the games you'd expect from Rare that are awesome. The licensed games, however, didn't show up. So GoldenEye is out, Donkey Kong 64 is out, and the Donkey Kong Country games are out. There was one other popular one that's not there. Oh, Battletoads and Double Dragon. I kind of would like to see that there, but for some reason that's not there because I guess someone else owns Double Dragon now, or they couldn't work out a license. So yeah, like I put here, I thought I put a note here, but I was going to say, if they threw in the Donkey Kong Country games and Diddy Kong Racing and Donkey Kong 64, I would have easily paid $60 for this. Easily. Like not even, you just shut up and take it. You know, here's my wallet. Here, take whatever you want. Here, you want to buy yourself a drink too? Here, great. A Rare replay? Okay, great. Good doing business with you. You know what I mean? But, you know, they couldn't work out a deal with Nintendo and stuff. But you got to look up the full list. There's no way I can remember all 30 games, but they have like a bunch of like early arcade games and shit, so that's cool. Then Craig Duncan, the studio head at Rare, comes out, explains that it's the 30th anniversary of Rare, which I didn't know that. I should have, but I didn't. Yeah, and he made this as a gift to the fans, so I think that's really, really cool. So this is the next best thing. I mean, if you're not going to make a new game, a completely new experience, like just throw all your greatest hits on a disc and sell it. And they could have easily sold this for $60, but they didn't. But it's $29.99. They're emulated perfectly, so I can't wait for that. And then this guy opens his mouth, and here comes the buzzkill from the Rare section, where he goes, "The most ambitious game Rare has ever created." Ooh. A new exclusive game called Sea of Thieves. Looks like a lame multiplayer game that would be at home on an iPad. Yeah, this was a letdown. Apparently you can play with like 3 other players and cruise around in a pirate ship doing pirate things, but not cool pirate things. Like it didn't do anything for me. Like, they finally cut the shackles off of fucking making stupid fucking bullshit like Connect Sports, and this is what they make? Alright. Well, kudos to Microsoft for letting Rare develop a game they wanted to make, like completely just, you guys are Rare, you guys make whatever the fuck you want to make because you're Rare, and this is what they came out with. So, maybe I'm being harsh on it. I'll give it a try. The Rare today is not the same Rare we had in like the 80s and 90s, but, every time I see that logo, my heart flutters a little bit. You know what I mean? If you're my age and you grew up with all of Rare's great games, then you know what I mean. Another Windows 10 Xbox exclusive, Fable Legends. That's what I think of Fable and Fable Legends. Snore comes out holiday 2015. I don't give a shit. Fable was never that good to begin with, and they're just... I don't know why they're putting all of their resources into Fable like this. It sucks. It's done. Like, Fable 1 and 2 are okay. Fable 3 is fucking hot dog shit on the sidewalk on a July afternoon, if you ask me. Like the pile of dog shit out in the yard from my dog when he took a shit this morning. I'd rather play with that than play with Fable 3 again. Kuno Sirota, the corporate VP at Microsoft Studios, comes out. He says crossplay on Xbox One and PC for Fable Legends. Who gives a shit? Announces relationship with Valve VR along with their previously announced partnership with Oculus. HoloLens is also mentioned. Like I said, we'll see where that stuff goes. Transition to Lydia Winters from Mojang. Oh god, this was the Minecraft part. Fuck. Minecraft VR HoloLens spot. I didn't know what to make of this. I don't really care about Minecraft at all. I don't have anything against it. I just don't care for it. It's not my cup of tea. But they showed off Minecraft being played in HoloLens. And they actually showed a demo on stage where the cameraman had like a HoloLens lens on his camera. So it showed what you would see if you were playing HoloLens. I don't know. It seemed too good to be true. It looks cool. Like you can like zoom in and out. You have like a completely like if I built like a Minecraft tower right in front of me right now in real time and I was building it and like that's what they were promising and stuff. It seemed a really ambitious. But like I said, we'll see what happens with that. Like it didn't wow me or anything. I'm like, oh, that's neat, I guess. Okay, can I have more games for my Xbox now? So then to close out the conference, I think this was it. Rod Ferguson, the studio head at Coalition, aka Black Tusk Studios, aka Epic Games, I think they're all the same studio, shows off Gears of War Ultimate Edition. This has been leaked for months and months too. 1080p, 60 frames per second with new content. So they're not only releasing the original game from the Xbox 360, it's also going to have, there were exclusive missions for when it was released on PC back, oh my god, what was that, like 8 or 9 years ago? Came out. That comes out August 25th. Wish they at least released all the 4 previous games, or at least the trilogy, because there was Gears 1, 2, 3, and Judgment. A lot of people don't care about Judgment, but it's still part of the Gears franchise. Like they did that. They did the Halo Master Chief collection. Why can't they do a Gears of War collection? It just seems really odd that they choose just the very first game. Okay, so if I really like the game, because I've never played Gears of War, somehow, the whole Gears craze came and went like way before I got an Xbox 360. I was still playing PC games at the time, but so if I want to play Gears 2, 3, and Judgment after I play Ultimate Edition, I'm going to have to go back down to the Xbox 360 versions and go to that graphical and frame rate downgrade. You know what I mean? You know, and I know I'm being a little hypocritical because I said like, oh, you know, here's a 1080p and 60 frames per second game for you graphics whores, like I said, like 10 or 15 minutes ago or whatever. But you know, you got to admit that's a jarring experience. Then they showed, to close out the conference, of course, Gears of War 4, just Gears 4 they're calling it, so I guess they're just calling it Gears, which sounds stupid. I always thought it did. That's not going to come out till holiday next year, so not even on the radar yet, but it just looks like every other Gears of War game, I guess. They promised more announcements were coming post-show and Xbox Daily. That was the backwards compatibility. They went more in depth with that. They had another small interview with Phil Spencer. There was a revamped dashboard that's going to come out to the Xbox One called the New Xbox Experience. This was one of the biggest things that wasn't covered in the conference. Promises faster navigation, getting back into games faster that are in a suspended state, an elegant list for your recently used games, and apps with update notes and other information. So they're completely, don't get too used to the Metro dashboard you've been used to for these past few years. They're going to completely revamp it coming up this holiday when they release the backwards compatibility officially for everyone. It looks really cool. So if you want to look that up, I definitely would. Cortana integration is going to be another part if you have the Kinect to quickly create parties, record clips, and more. I never had a big problem with the dashboard, but now that I've seen the new dashboard, it makes the Metro aesthetic look gaudy in comparison. That's my opinion on it. So yeah, that was Microsoft. It was alright. Rare Replay was cool. It's cool we're getting backwards compatibility, though that's not realistically, you know, most games people want to play via backwards compatibility, aren't going to be released till next year, so that's a little ways off. But at least we know it's a thing now and it's coming. So yeah, I wrote down here greatest games lineup, more like kind of interesting lineup. You know, you need to tone down the hype meter there, Microsoft. I mean, you're doing decent so far. You're actually listening to fans. The Xbox One has come a very long way, and I have no regrets of buying a day one console at all. And you know, it's a great console. My opinion has not changed on it, and it will not change. So yeah, then we get to EA. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 before I go and talk about EA, because I've probably been talking for a while here. But yeah, EA. Yeah, I'm going to take a break. Maybe grab a snack or something like that. I'll come back and talk about EA. So stay tuned.